Well, good to have you with us here on the midweek edition of the South African Morning. I'm Gareth Edwards. We're heading up to 10 to 7. Tumelo is away for today. Such an important interview, this. South Africa getting set to get a new manufacturing hub for COVID-19 vaccines. What a game changer it could be, a partnership between South Africa and France, of course, in an attempt to scale up production and access to vaccines. The president has hailed this as a historic step in the right direction. So where are we on this? What's the timeline like? Hopefully it's faster than the vaccine rollout. Let's speak to the French ambassador to South Africa. It is Ambassador Aurélien Lechevallier. Ambassador, bonjour, good morning. Thank you for your time. Can we talk about this, manufacturing hub in South Africa? Just in your first answer, what do we mean by that? Are we talking physical buildings being built, or are we going to utilize somewhere else? What does this look like?
Thank you very much for having me this morning. Bonjour. Thanks for the invitation. We're talking about a new model that will be experienced for the first time with South Africa. So indeed, I think it's quite historic. It's a very, very important step. If I could describe quite simply the model, it's under the leadership and the guidance of the World Health Organization, the WHO. They will engage with pharmaceutical companies around the world, and these companies will accept through this hub to transfer part of their technology to South Africa, to especially one company called Afrigenes that will do the knowledge development in terms of research and development first, and then to another South African company called Biovac Institute, which already exists, of course, and which have been a long partner with France in particular, to scale up and develop the vaccines in the future. So it's indeed a very, very important announcement made by the WHO last Monday, and it's the consequence of a lot of work that we've been doing for the last 6 months between Germany, France, and South Africa in particular.
Yeah, we know, of course, that the French president, Emmanuel Macron, was just out here a little while ago. I imagine this was part of that discussion. Ambassador, I would like to talk about France, I understand, would not stop South Africa campaigning for the waiver of the intellectual property for vaccines, but that might be a very big discussion. What I'd like to know for our viewers joining us this morning, what's our timeline, probably more importantly at the moment for them, what's our timeline from you and I speaking now to when we could start producing and manufacturing our own vaccines? What's the expectation?
According to the specialists, and since we are talking about the technology of the mRNA, we're talking about maybe 1 year from now, if everything goes well and efficiently. But I think it's very important to understand that we are talking about two different things here. One is the COVID vaccines, and everybody is focused, of course, on the vaccination campaign for COVID-19. I presume you have not been vaccinated. I haven't been vaccinated to COVID-19. We have to accelerate these campaigns everywhere in the world because we know that as long as we have not get rid of, as long as everybody has not been vaccinated, we will not get rid of the COVID-19 virus. But there is another priority, which is the capacity for Africa and for South Africa to manufacture its own vaccines. Because look at the situation today. Africa in general, if you look at all the different viruses and diseases in the world, represents 20% of the needs, but only manufacture 1% of the vaccines. And I'm talking about all the vaccines for children, for adults, and all the categories of vaccines. This is not fair. This is not sustainable. So this endeavor with this announcement and the hub to manufacture vaccines, it's not only for COVID-19 today, it's also for the vaccines of tomorrow, is to make sure that Africa and South Africa will have the capabilities to produce part of its own vaccines. And that's what we have been working on silently with a long journey with the different departments in South Africa, with the ecosystems. You have wonderful scientific community in South Africa. You have industrial capacities. And that led indeed to the state visit of President Macron last May, with a flagship announcement on this new partnership of manufacturing the vaccines. And the health minister of Germany was also part of the delegation. And that led this week to this announcement with the WHO. So we have to take all of these elements into the global picture because they are all very important to us.
No, of course they are. Ambassador, just in the last minute that I have with you, I'd like to, if you could elaborate for me, Ambassador. So this is agreement to have this manufacturing hub put together. This plan is going to be in place, you say, hopefully in about a year, just over a year from now. What are the kind of production numbers we're looking at? You asked me if I've received a vaccine. Of course I haven't, neither have you. So the more vaccines we get, the quicker we can get everybody vaccinated and get to herd immunity. I'm sure there must be a production number in mind that it's going to be able to produce within, say, the first year or two. Can you tell me?
Well, I think that's difficult to say for the moment. And South Africa will be able to manufacture vaccines in the near future, especially with the Aspen Pharmacare company in partnership with international pharmaceutical companies. So we're talking about millions of doses that will be produced in South Africa against COVID-19 in the next 12 months. But for this particular announcement with the regional hub, we will have first to finalize the agreements with the pharmaceutical companies, then transfer the technology, test this technology in South Africa, and then use the biovac capacities to scale up the manufacturing process. So we could talk about millions of doses according to that timeline, but probably you will have to invite me over in maybe 6 months' time to be more specific on this.
Ambassador, I can assure you I'll be doing that. My producer has your number, and I look forward to our next conversation as well once the vaccine hub is built. Ambassador to South Africa from France. It is Ambassador Aurélien Lechevallier joining us here on the South African Morning.